Yay, done. All right. So to continue our talk, each of these nodes were defined by folks called Kabbalists, right? A form of Jewish mysticism that aims to try and at least come up with some kind of meaningful redactive structure that upon which can be pinned the mystical experience and the sort of fractal awareness of humanity. And it has been so flexible and useful to magicians and magic workers and witches really since its inception and creation about like 300 AD, that it has been adopted over and over and over again and adapted over and over again to many different uses, including that of magic and traveling what we would typically call the astral planes and above. Astral planes themselves really are restricted to sort of these lower nodes. The upper astral are restricted to these nodes up here, these 4 nodes, and the Dayoth, which is the non-Sephiro or the Black Tower of witchcraft and the Black Tower of the witchcraft of OTO practice. People like Spare and people like Jack Parsons, John Whiteside's Parsons. You were up to. I'm so glad. Yay. John Whiteside's Parsons calls the Great Library the repository of all knowledge, atavisms, recorded history, the non-manifest potential of humanity, all are stored in Dayoth. It's like, what would have happened when I was 6 if I had chosen to do this thing differently? Well, that book that would have been written all the way to the rest of your life is in the library in Dayoth. So if you yourself, and this is part of one of the steps of the evolution of a witch and or the evolution of a yogini or a guru or an Ifa practitioner or all of them eventually have to travel to Dayoth to discover their own past lives and bring back whatever karmic relevant information from the Black Tower as they really need to kind of progress along their journey towards true enlightenment. All right. That said, what we are doing in this series is we're walking down these Sephiro node by node, right? So we've already covered the Godhead. We've covered the duality of this initial split in consciousness. We've dealt with Bina, the great mama, the all accounting. We've dealt with Dayoth, Din, the beautiful city of Din, and human discernment and willpower, which itself is the catabolic force of the universe, which tries to reduce information. The anabolic force of the universe, Gabora, which tries to create more and more and more. It's really very Jupiterian, where Din is very Martian. And in fact, there are also astrological correspondences with each of these nodes, which I would highly encourage all students to begin to explore. One of the reasons why I brought up this graphic today and for this class is because I started kind of looking at some of the path working that we're going to be doing when we get to the Tree of Death, which is the inverse side of each of these nodes, what are called the Qliphothic tunnels of Set. And by the way, if you get a chance to take a look at the work of Thomas, see, it's going to be a mess. Thomas Carlson. He has the second in his series of books on the Qliphothic tunnels. I've already like half devoured the damn thing and I've had it for 3 days. And am thrilled to see that not only was his initial view of the Sephiro and of the Qliphothic tunnels incredibly accurate in his first book, but the exegesis on each of the shells or blasted Sephiro of the Tree of Death, though as seen through the lens of both his practice, he's an OTO guy, so he switches a few things around based on Oh no. So Tomas Carlson, let me put it in the chat. And he has two books. This one is called Black Mass, and the sabbatic tradition of Shaitan and sexual sorcery of the Qliphothic dark paths, which is pretty much what we're doing. Just so you know. But we're starting out with sexual magic in the upper realms, and we're going to get to the lower realms later. So let me see. All right, so that's provenance for the series. For those of you who are new, and I think I have Medidi has been around. Tina, are you new to the series? Somehow I missed the first class. Yes. Oh, the first class? First class was quite a while ago. You're on class 12. Awesome. So good. There you go. Awesome. So if the part of what I'm doing right now is kind of filling in the gaps of the previous classes. Now that you understand sort of the provenance of this work, right? We've already done Kether. We've done all of these. We're about to do an Abyss. This is considered a bonus class in the series because we don't actually get to one of the next nodes. We don't do Malkuth tonight. We're actually working within an Abyss, which is really kind of wonky work. The last Abyss that we crossed, as the people who have, I think Medidi was there, and Vanessa might have been there, Honey Sons might have been there. The work that we did to get to the Black Tower, yep, that's right, was intense and amazing, pretty transformative. Just getting there, much less doing the sigilization work, which itself can be fun. So getting back to that, I did want to get to sort of the practical work that we're doing today. We are going to be creating a sigil. And that sigil is going to have actually 0 lines. This is the weird sigil of a point, and I'll describe how that happens. Most sigils that we've been doing have been linear. And that's what you're expected to do, is create a linear design that then you can cast, okay? And the way we do this is we have journal entry on one side. I'll actually show you here with today's thing. There. Okay, so with a blank piece of paper, lined paper or graph paper, I prefer, I don't know if you can see, you can't really see. I prefer graph paper, like with the points. That way, if I want to make precise or straight lines, I have an aid. So you can do it on a single sheet of paper and use one side and then flip it over and use the back side for your journal. Or you can, this is my notebook that I'm using for this particular series of classes. So for this one, on this page, I have to figure out my left from my right. On this page, I'm going to do my sigil. So I'm going to leave it blank for now. And on this side, I'm going to make 2 lines to divide the page into thirds. And what that winds up giving me is space for me to have 3 separate journal entries, 1 for each casting I do of my sigil. Okay, so it winds up being, let's see if I can get closer in on this. I'm going to take the effect off of my camera, and I think that will help me. Don't blur the background. Okay, there we go. Yeah, there we go. All right, now, so you can see there, I've got my 3 lines, 1, 2, and 3, and a blank page, right? That way, I can cast my sigil on day 1. On day 2, I do a journal entry for the first casting. Day 3, I cast my sigil. Day 4, I do my second journal entry. Day 5, I cast my sigil. On day 6, I do my third journal entry, and then I have a day off. Next day, we start in again with the next class. Now, journal entry, and so casting, what do I mean by casting? We have two methods of casting in this series of classes. We have the orgasmic technique and we have a box breath technique. You can pick whichever one you want based on your own proclivity, right? So if you're pre-orgasmic, or if bringing the erotic play into your magic is not something you want to cross a line with, then use the box breath. And box breath is just what it sounds like. It's an inhale that is exactly the same length as a hold, which is exactly the same length as an exhale, which is exactly the same length as a hold. So it looks like inhale for 4, hold it for 4, exhale for 4, hold it for 4. Begin again. And try and expand the box from 4 to a count of 5, to a count of 6, to a count of 7, as large as you can get it with your inhale, hold, exhale, hold, without clenching your throat. You should be able to breathe and like sip. So if you get to the upper end of your inhale and you want to get more, just, and if you hold your throat open, you can continue to sip air in, but adjust on your hold it, exhale, inhale, hold it. Okay, that's the box of a box breath. And you do this until you get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and you ask your childlike nature, what we call a fetch. If you have worked with magical fetches in the past, or magically created wish birds or anything like that, an astral intention with a frame that you grant it, made composed of energy, and you send it off with an intent to do work. This is exactly what we're doing. That's that part of our soul that we're actually kind of playing with. We want it to store the vital aspect of that breath. In other words, the energetic component. Store it and 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 store it. You'll start feeling lightheaded. And you keep doing it, but just expand your aura. It'll alleviate the pressure, and it'll reduce and eliminate the lightheadedness, so that you can continue to expand your box breath until you really can't physically hold any more energy. At which point, while and all the time, concentrating on your line design, right? So you can have that. You can have that on the page in front of you. You could be imagining that in an imaginary space. However you want to do it, it should be present in your visual and your third eye visual field. So when you get to the max point, then you intentionally state 4 breaths more, and you do 1, 2, 3, knowing it's your last one. The fourth one you make as big as possible, and then you dump all energy into the sigil, all of it. Close the book, fall back, relax, close your eyes, let go. That's the box breath. Orgasmic technique is you substitute for the box breath masturbation. And in the erotic space, you can also use a physical mnemonic of your, you can use your drawn sigil, you can use a mirror with it drawn on yourself, you can project the sigil onto your fantasy lover, the Faradosh, which if you mix up wish bird with Varavash, what do you got? True Varavash, a manifest demon lover, which is what all of them are talking about. These used, of course, by Crowley during his working with can't remember his name. God damn it. And it led to the Bornless ritual. Anyways, if you're interested in Crowley, I'll look it up for you. But it's all in book 4. If you're interested in that work, it's all in book 4 by Crowley. Anyways, yeah, so masturbation, whatever masturbation looks like for you, right? And you project that onto the being that you're making love to or that's making love to you, all the way to the point of orgasm, and at the point where you can no longer maintain control over the fantasy or your physical response and the orgasm, that's when you let go of the energy into the sigil. Again, afterwards, fall back, close your eyes, let go, forget it, let go, right? We journal on the following day because we want to be able to see synchronicities in the alterations that we've made to the fabric of the world. So if suddenly, if we did a sigil that has 6 lines in it, and suddenly 6s show up everywhere in our lives the next day, all right, you want to note that in your journal, because how can you know what you think until you see what you say? A journal is a physical record of your growth and transformation. If you do not write it down, you will forget it. So we journal the work that we do. And part of what we'll do at the end of this series is what we call Best of Big Chief, what I call Best of Big Chief. And that is where we take some element or bit of each of our castings and compile it into a summation that we can present back to the teacher and say, this is what came out of all of this work with sigils. Okay. For yourself, what that winds up looking like is a book of shadows or a book of mirrors, right? These are the workings that I did. These were the results. And these ones I want to do again. These ones I never want to touch again, right? Awesome. So now that you have gotten all of this, the way I also operationally work this class is this spreadsheet you have access to. It's linked to from my Professor bio on the DiviNation Academy page, as well as all of the materials available for this class, which are all in here. And I would highly encourage you to dunk, plunk, and play in there and find out what resources are available for you, particularly the Toll Rectified, which is a view of the Tree of Life that has been collated with the tarot card correspondences, the Sun, Moons, Mars, Jupiter, so the astrological correspondences. There are some keywords to understand what they're about, so that you can kind of orienteer your way through the Tree of Life. There's other material like which we are going to be exploring, the Tree of Death, and all of its nodes and how they correspond. These graphics were created by me. Please do not share them unless you gain my permission. Awesome. Let's see, what else is there? So we covered the 2 casting techniques. We covered journaling in a nutshell. We covered the provenance of the pathworking portion. Where can you get the materials? We've covered that. So each week in class, I will say we're doing a sigil of X number of lines. The only true rule here is, excuse me, that what winds up on your page is X number of lines. Everyone has found their own sort of sea legs in this process. and has made some amazing work, some of which you can dunk and plunk, or certainly take a look through the DiviNation Academy main page postings, and you'll see past postings by people. As recently, I think, as today, Jackie posted her work from our visit to Yesod and the angel, for lack of a better word, who administrates, is the manifest interface for Yesod, or pure human imagination, the sum and total of all human pure imagination and imaginings, Gabriel. And it posted it. It's quite beautiful. Yeah. I also solicit from everyone who attends the class, when we're about to start the class, the password that you learned in the previous class. So since you have not been to a previous class, I will provide you with a password, and it must be typed into the chat and or spoken. Awesome. You've seen some of the other classes. They're good. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Okay. We can begin by just kind of resting in our chairs. Relaxedly breathe. Let go of on your exhale, on your inhale, bring in a hope simply for an openness. And on your exhale, let go of your day. Let go of fear, shame, guilt. Let go of need to produce or be productive. Let go of time and time crunch, and let go of responsibilities. Let go of weights and burdens, and simply be here now with as much presence as you can muster, given your physical condition, whatever it is for you. Today is a bonus class. We're going to be crossing the abyss between Yesod and the manifest world. And contact with the abyss allows us what we would think of as inner sight, or the opening of the third eye. Now, the third eye itself has two major functions. There's the lower third eye and the upper third eye. The lower third eye is simply psychic phenomena. It is our ability to plug into the human organism at an organism level or at an individual level. So this is the experience when the phone isn't ringing, but you know your mom is gonna, oh, and then the phone rings and it's your mom. That's lower astral. That's the easiest plug-in for third eye to psychic phenomena. Is you happen to be shooting off an email to your friend from high school that you haven't thought of in 20 years when their email arrives in your inbox. It's exactly those moments. It's a lucid dream where you gain control of the dream and you're able to manipulate aspects of it, or even be able to fly, or to stop yourself from drowning, or to talk to yourself while you're in your dream, as if from outside self. If you've never had any of these experiences, you may have actually had an experience where you intuited or dreamed that something was going to happen, and 2 or 3 days later it does. That's all this. This is lower third eye. This is lower astral. This is connecting immediately and psychically to us, a network organism. And we are networked in many, 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 many ways. And the provenance for that networking is clearly proven by human history, where discoveries often are made in tandem and simultaneously by any number of people across the planet at exactly the same moment in human history. And by things like the psychic connection between mother and child, the psychic connection and bond between daughters and fathers, between female relating, feminine relating humans and their masculine relating parental figures, right? Between son and mother, which is very different than just mother and child. The bond between son and mother, or those who identify as male with their cross-identifying parent, cross-gendered identifying parent, or other identifying parent, is also different and unique. And it all resides down here on this sort of lower third eye in the lower astral. The upper astral has, so if one is looking down into self and out at the rest of the tribe and our personal connections within the tribe, then the upper astral is looking upward to the beginning of our interface to the higher realms. So this is the moment where a great friend of mine, and you'll be able to understand this when you hear the whole story. Good friend of mine was having a hard time with his dad and his family and everything else. He was gay and he didn't want to come out, and blah 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 blah. And then he found out he was HIV, and that just complicated the mix. And he was so full of anxiety and guilt and fear and shame and all of this. And one night he went on a long drive at night, and drunk out of his mind. And sure enough, we all know where this long drive is leading. Either a critical moment is going to happen, or a critical moment is going to happen. Well, the critical moment didn't happen, so he manufactured one. He happened to see a window frame on the side of the road. And he pulled over, got out of his car, opened the window, crawled through it, went back to his car and drove home. And the healing crisis that was required was done. He came out to his family. He let them all know what his HIV status was. He reached out for support to any number of, yeah, that's right. It is incredible. He reached out to any number of people and places, including the center, which is the gay and lesbian, transgender, LGBTQA+, etc. Community center here in Denver. Reached out to them, and that's how I met him. Because at the time I was going to the Young Men's Club, and which was just like 25 to 35-ish folks. And yeah, we became lovers. It was amazing. But that critical moment of the manufacturing or crisis of healing is exactly upper astral. This is the third eye when it connects with those higher realms, right? Like Yesod. And we begin to be able to travel to, so astral travel, astral monitoring, in other words, watching the physical world play itself out from outside your body. So astral light up across the street, watch what's going on over at the neighbors. Yes, it's a real exercise. Yes, people really do it. They're amazing monitors, astral monitors, that have recorded just incredible tales of what they wind up finding out. It's amazing. Anyways, so these two functions of the third eye and its opening are what we're trying to facilitate. It itself is the abyss. The abyss is, in many ways, a lie. It is the lie that we tell ourselves that our physical and spiritual selves are separate. And the second we untell that story, dismantle it completely, and open our three eyes to look at objective and subjective experience, we find it's all an integrative whole, and we are just a part in a larger happening. No work needs to be done at all. We simply are. And the trance state, often called a hypnagogic or hypnagogic state, is the sure sign that you have either forded or crossed this particular abyss. What do I mean by hypnagogic? A hypnagogic state is the same thing as like when you're zoned out daydreaming, but there's imagination going on and you're monitoring it. Usually in a form of play. I wish I was at the park eating ice cream, blah, 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 and not listening to a jerkwad tell me about the Napoleonic Wars, right? That happened in high school, where you stared out the window during the Napoleonic Wars and you could hear everything he was saying, and you were still absorbing. You were still, so your processing mind was still working. You were still looking at conscious content, right? You were aware of all of the sort of sublinguistics, right? Aware of body, aware of desires and needs, a certain state of boredom that isn't painful, but also leads you to imaginative space, which all kinds of blends and coalesces with your own immediate experience. In moments like that, a sense of hyper clarity of the physical world tends to settle in. This is a brainwave state called beta, and there are actually like sound recordings that you can use to enhance this state and get you to it in an easier way. It's one of the last stages before you fall into alpha or dream, like the initial entree to dream state, which we'll cross later when we're about to go to the tree of death. So we're actually going to have Malkuth, and then boom, we're going to, like, right off the bat, have another bonus class that where we actually play in that space, the border between conscious, sub, and pre-conscious, that those states represent. Anyway, this abyss we travel to make spirit contact. So the easiest thing to do, really, I've already said this earlier in this class, though it wasn't on the recording, is make spirit contact or entity contact with higher astral beings, bodhisattvas, ascended masters, people we would consider who left the planet without actually physically dying. So those people who were taken up, right? Ezekiel, Mary are examples of those, but they exist in every single culture where the physical body was simply translated into energy and left the planet, housing the same consciousness, only an ascended consciousness, as it had beforehand. These beings, as well as those ancestors of ours that remain on the planet as guides. As a matter of fact, today, you are going to be using, for the meditational portion of this abyss crossing, one of your ancestors. Now, what I mean by ancestor is not necessarily ancestor of blood, though it can be. So now you guys, gals, humans, are tasked with the thing, who do I want to be my guide, who is already dead? Who is already dead? Please do not enlist the living for this work. They may or may not respond. They're alive. They have their own things to do. So that ancestor can be ancestor of blood. It can be an ancestor of affinity. Well, I'm adopted into this family, but I want my grandma Perphilia. Awesome. Take grandma Perphilia. It can be an ancestor in a magical line. Victor Anderson, head of the fairy tradition, would be a natural one for me to ask. Hey, Victor, can you guide me through this abyss? And sure enough, they'll show up and do the work. So that's who's going to be your guide to the realms of where dream invades waking, where waking invades dream, where poetry happens, where song and trance happen. Yes, you can use a pet. Absolutely. Yeah. And just know that we'll do some adjustments when they give you a gift. There's one gift that all of them will possess. It's what's called a trident. Does anyone not know what a trident is? Okay, everyone knows what a trident is. I'm going to go ahead and bring up a picture of one for you. Yeah, this you can see like, so ignore this top portion of this, right? The trident is a three-pointed spear, right? So that's a trident. They can be much simpler than this. I don't know why it did shopping for me and not images. There we go. So yeah, all of these are tridents of various forms from throughout human history and various cultures, from the Greek to contemporary to you name it. Okay, to the you can see there's Hindu influenced ones here and here, etc. Okay, so this is a trident. Just know that at some point or another, this guide of yours will produce for you a trident. Now, the way you can do this with something like a pet where their physical scale is going to be much smaller is when they indicate to go into their pack, some strapped on pack, you'll pull out and the trident's this big and it'll grow. Now you have a trident staff, right? Just know that scale can change, or even if it stays that big and it goes in your pocket and you keep it, that's awesome. Brianna, I see that you just joined. We're a bit late into the evening to have new folks unless you have been in this series before, and I don't know if I recall if you're in, are you a new student? Brianna?
No, I haven't started or anything.
You have not. Okay, very good.
No.
We're already I can't really rewind almost an hour of presentation to go back and kind of get you up to speed. Please feel free to avail yourself of the YouTube recording after the fact. It'll be online in a couple of hours.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. And I hope to see you again in future class.
Okay.
Awesome. So just know that at the point where they give you the object that they're going to give you, it is going to be a trident, and just know that scale may be different and you can adjust the scale any way you need to. Keep in mind, we're like a grain of sand away from Yeso. We're on the path to Yeso. And we all know from last week what the power of that place is, that really anything imagined can immediately, spontaneously become. So that said, I want you to take a few breaths. And kind of think around, right? I think you already know, honey, who your guide is. When all of us know who our guide is going to be, type the word yes. Ooh, that's great. Awesome. Very good. So exhale again. We're going to start where we left off last week in Yesod. Focus on the magenta, that color. Only we're not going to call on Gabriel. We're not going to travel there. We're going to feel it right here, just above our heads. Like a giant balloon is just right above our heads. And we're going to ask our guide to help us with this bridge between, right? And I wanted to kind of bring a little more context into this, that what we're asking our guide to reveal for us is simply the truth about the world with the lens of flesh peeled back. A view of the world with the lens of flesh peeled back. So once you feel the gorgeous Yesod magenta orb above your head, and you've called out to your guide, we're going to meet our guide. I don't want you to close your eyes. I want you to stay here and present. You need to stay in your body for this abyss. Try and open this eye with these eyes open. Try and feel the electricity of the light bulb in the room. Try and be aware of the electrons moving through the circuit boards of your phone or your PC. Know that there is a much larger universe taking place, happening right now, and you are another aspect of it. And everyone's imaginings, begin to see them flowing into Yesod, like magenta lightning from around the globe, focused in the orb above your head. And if you can, slightly blur your vision, breathe deep. Find a spot. If you do yoga, they call it the drishti gaze, right? They say right about here, about 2 feet in front of your eyes. Focus there so that you can see 360 with your peripheral vision. You can see with your third eye behind you. But you're not actually focusing on any one thing, and feel yourself with a connection inside your body. Feel what's going on inside your body. And I want you to try and link it to what you're feeling outside your body. So inside, air and blood movement and electricity and digestion, and outside your body is skin temperature, air movement. Maybe you're supported by or holding something to support it. And the balance of the weight is the mechanics of the outside of your body, and you can feel it. It's called proprioception, knowing where your body is in space. And without losing the magenta orb and the lightning strikes from everyone around the globe, imagining, both taking from and putting into Yesod, happening right above your head. Feel the left side of your body, front and back, just the left side. And stitch it, marry it to the awareness of your right side of your body. So you can hold your awareness of your insides and your outsides, your left and your right, Yesod and you. Now take your back side of your body, from the top of your head all the way down to your heel. Feel and be aware of and connect to, with all 3 eyes open, the back of your body and everything that is behind you. Can you get a subtle awareness of yourself hurtling through space as the planet itself turns, as the planet itself moves through space around the sun, as the sun itself hurtles forward at the center of our solar system, in the arm of our galaxy, on the upper threshold edge of the plane of the galaxy. And the front of you. Stitch an awareness of the front of you to the back. Can you bring into that macro awareness of yourself moving through space and time, with the front of you all things that you seek, all hopes and dreams and imaginings? Let your own lightning strikes go from your body to Yesod. This is called polarity therapy. It's an integrative technique used by body workers, hypnotherapists, magicians, witches. Call out using your voice, not here and not in the chat, just for yourself. Call out the name of your God. And once you've called their name and you feel their presence, type the word yes. Good. In the presence of your guide, take their paw, take their hand, take their tentacle. Express your feelings at this ancestor. And ask them to show you the way for you to bring all of this awareness up as if there was a tiny little version of your body above your head. And you are both inside your body and standing on the very top of the right here, where the seaming of your skull is, what used to be your soft spot when you were a baby. And they'll guide you up there so you can be between earth and heaven. As you're standing there, you should be close enough that if you look directly up, it's the same as the invocation of the Yesod. The magenta door is there and all the swirls. You can touch it and you can write on it, but you're not going to. When you're standing on your own head, all 6 eyes now open in the presence of your God. With Yesod above you and all the lightning strikes from every human around the globe imagining. Say yes. Your guide already knows that what you want is the trident. Please ask your guide for the trident. And however they get it to you or you take it from them, take into your astral body the trident. We will be using this along with the coin that we received earlier from Charon's own when traveling the cliffotic tunnels. This trident will unlock doors and open ways and will keep us from having to do the astral battle with demons in the underworld. It is a protective device that also is the thrust of creation. Whether you wear it around your neck, whether you hold it in your hand, whether it becomes an imprint or a thing that you wear or a thing on your body, once it's connected to your astral self, that's the word yes. Thank your guide. Your ancestor, your friend, the one on whose back you stand in this world. Say thank you. Say it out loud, but not to me. And allow them to return to the place that is right and natural for them. Keep in the trident. And allow your astral self to melt, flow, sink back into your physical self. So that your third eyes and your eyes align. And instead of the double vision, we are simply here with more awareness. Yesod is still just above. But allow the chatter, the lightning strikes, the noise of creation and destruction to fade, and the magenta color to fade. And allow yourself to focus on every color in the room you are in. And I want you to do this exercise as a fabulous grounding exercise. I want you to point at these things in your space, and I want you to name their colors. I'm going to do it on mute, so you don't have to listen to me, and you can do it for yourself. Tap yourself, tap your body. I'm not kidding, do it. Tap yourself. Tap your legs, tap your arms, tap your head. Any excess or residual electric sort of feelings that you might have? Is your aura excited? Do you feel really sort of tingly? Breathe it out. Get it out. Get it out. Until you feel well grounded. And when you're fully present again in your body, vocalize the word yes, type it in the chat. How you doing, Medidi? You with us again? Good, awesome.
I am just taking a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, and touch yourself, shake it off your hands, all this static. Oh, let it go. Let it go. One of the things that Thorn Coyle, I told her about her a couple weeks ago, I think. She was my teacher for a long time. One of the things she would do is head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, and eyes and ears and mouth and something I don't remember. Some throat, maybe? I don't know. And shoulders, knees and toes, and you're supposed to do a dance with it where you touch each part of your body like this. And it was awesome because it engaged your whole self. Yeah, I love it too. It's so cute and so stupid. And it was awesome at grounding out all of this excess and getting you to a place where you're just present again. You're fully here. This is shut down. This is closed off. Tonight, after we do our working, I want to ask everyone to try and wear a bandana or a cap or a ball cap, baseball cap, ball cap, a do-rag, just something to cover the top of your head. Can all of us do that?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. If it falls off during your sleep, no problem. But for the next couple of hours, while you were wide open, nothing should be allowed in except what's invited. And we want no like pre or subconscious invitations. So the best thing to do, and this is an EFA practice, is to simply wear a rag over your head. Now, if you want to get really cool about it And really traditional, you can put use a white scarf and just tie it over your head, cover your head. Okay, awesome. Now, today's sigil is 0 lines. It is a point, but there's a way that we have to do this. So on our page that we're going to use for casting, and in either very light. Oh, did you really? Okay. If everyone's watching the chat, Jordy just had this huge, awesome aha and amazing moment with her guide. And that's awesome. Let's get to the sigil work. I want to hear, literally, I'm crying. Oh, honey, cry away. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, please do that and be present for that. And when you're ready to rejoin us, then to protect energy since 2016. Good. All right. Good. Vanessa knows its practice. Awesome. It's Bryce says, awesome. Good, good, good. So on our page, right, in either in something we can erase, right? I want you to put just divide your sheet with 2 lines to make 4 quadrants. Okay. And on the top, so the top, what you're going to consider the top portion is, and I've written the word here, known. It's everything you know. On the bottom is going to be everything you don't know, the unknown. Okay, so unknown is everything below the line. Known is everything above the line. Okay. The other quadrant is going to divide the past and future. So known, unknown, past, and future. The work that we're going to be doing with our sigil is placing a dot or circle on this grid. And you have to try and remember that sort of hypnagogic state that we were in while we were with our guide, and find where it lives as a point in this grid. You can decorate or elaborate that dot or circle, but fill in the circle, has to be a dot. It is a 0-dimensional line. And So the everything above the line, known, everything below the line, unknown, moving all the way. This line that bisects that to the up and down, anything to the really what you would consider your non-dominant hand side. So if you write with your right hand, that's your dominant hand. Okay. So I write with my right hand. So my left side is past. Right side is future. So you have a known past, an unknown past, a known future, an unknown future. You're placing this dot informed by the work that you've done. Does it make sense? You got it. Okay. Yes, you can. You can decorate it and enhance it however you want. The dot is the important magic, but make it something you can cast. Now, it could have sworn. Right. So here's mine, and as you can see, I have indeed enhanced the dot quite a bit, which is taking up an enormous amount of space. And I'm super happy with it. I kind of needed it to not just be an unknown future, but something that intrudes on the known. So it's verging on being known. And that's really what I wanted from the sigil work. I want to reveal the almost there and to accelerate and propel forward. I have to make a couple of leaps here real quick, kind of in how my life is organized. And the pieces need to start falling in place like that. So that's what I'm manifesting. I also wanted to say, the more you practice this exercise of 360 awareness, followed by opening of third eye, followed by forcing awareness both from that perspective, holding the current perspective and forcing your perspective off center, even just by an inch or a millimeter or a centimeter or whatever. This is the work of learning astral travel and astral monitoring. And this visit to the abyss between Malkut, or the physical world, and Yesod, the realm of all human imagining, is really this is the first step along that. The more you practice that work, the more you'll start experiencing geez, advancement in so many ways. You'll wind up running into some pretty standard critters, and you'll be able to pop in and out of astral easily. You'll begin to get information piped directly from it, and be able to process it during your waking states. The advancement for the sake of spirit communication is enormous, and the level of discernment that you can cultivate with practicing astral work and astral travel is huge. So yeah, just know that that's a couple birds with one stone with that particular class. And if you continue with even just that one tiny bit, using polarity therapy to get yourself fully aware, then taking your awareness and extending it beyond your own physical frame while still maintaining internal awareness, monitoring self and monitoring environment while seeing from another perspective, will only round out that that particular psychic ability. Okay. Cool. If you want to share, you certainly can. Oh, good. Here comes one.
So before you get that one drawn up, I just wanted to show you this Shen Tat. I don't even know if you can see me. I don't know. Oh, here.
Yeah,
Do you see that?
I do.
Look familiar? Here, let me see.
Yeah, well, think the blurring out portion. There we go.
Yeah.
Wow.
It literally looked identical to yours almost. I was like, well, wait a minute. When you put it up, I was like,
On the network.
on.
On the network.
Yep.
See, that it totally happens that way. And that for you, I hope that you understand that to be a really great confirmation of the work that you're doing, and that you indeed did find exactly your place in it. I'm seeing Geordie's here that now I don't know, I can't seem to make this bigger in the chat window. I wish I could pull it up separately, but can you guys see it in the share or in the chat? You should be able to see it in the chat too.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it looks good in it. Yeah, you can see it in the chat.
Yeah. This is it looks like a plant. It looks like a falling star. It looks like a shooting star. It looks like it's going to be so awesome. It almost looks like peacock feathers around the dot itself. The idea of burgeoning and blooming being a part of the work that you're going to do is inspired. It's beautiful. Wow. Okay. And there's honey, and honey zones is like bang on center. Isn't that awesome? And that's great. So you're going more for like a sort of oh, lovely. Yes. Awesome. Yeah, it's beautiful. So curious to know how the line's pushing up into the future. Uh-huh. Yeah, into the known future. I mean, but that's kind of that's the general, like shedding light on objects, whether they're physical objects or mental or social or cultural or creative objects, is exactly the future. That's part of what we do, right? I love how this bang on where I am with honey suns. It's really beautiful. Balance. So I figured I'd spot. Yep, that's right. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Awesome work, guys. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Meditate and manifest right now. Yeah. Love it. Love it, love it. Yep. And I love that we were on the psychic network. That's fantastic. That was shocker. So shocked. Okay. Does anyone else want to share tonight? Oh, I didn't know you could do that in there. It's fun. Okay. I don't see anyone chomping at the bit to share. Next week it's back to we're going to be exploring Malkuth. And we're back to a regular class. This is considered one of the bonuses. And really is just to familiarize yourself with the gaps between and the places in between. Many times this, I always say this about give yourself time to breathe. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Yes, you can ask. Now would be the appropriate moment for questions. Yes.
Okay,
For
I just
either
want to make sure
check-ins, catch-ins.
everybody. Yeah,
Yep,
I just
go on.
want to make sure everybody was done sharing. So I had something that's never really happened before while I was in that meditation. I
Mhm.
don't do a lot of like open eye meditations or whatever.
Yeah.
So this is like the third or second one I've done. But I noticed that a black blanket was coming over my eyes. So it was almost like my eyes were closed, but they weren't.
Mhm.
Is that a normal thing?
It is kind of, yeah, it is. The what starts happening is, especially if you try and, especially if you try and hold your focus or your gaze to one place, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to allowing for natural eye movement, but still keeping a diffused focus, right?
Right.
What winds up happening is you become a light. It's like your eyes become your eyes are made and designed to spot difference within pattern and uh, 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 texture changes. So, because you're holding your eye and your focus still, right, it becomes these Euclidean lines and spaces tend to no longer feed new information because you're not scanning for a line, you're not looking for a change in texture, you're not seeking out movement, you're just allowing your sight and vision to be. You may find that staying in that state is productive. Many people do. This is the essence of scrying, and scrying within an object or on a mirror or a piece of glass or a dark ink bowl or. There are any number of ways that you can scry, including entrails, which is really gross and I never want to do it.
Yeah,
But
it was really hard to hold that though. I could only hold it for like a few seconds and then my eyes would shift and it let back in like my
that's right.
surrounding around me.
That's right. That's right. And you'll see the ghost, like the ghost light shadow of the lines of what was there. Right. Absolutely. And you can play
Yes.
with that for scrying purposes, but that's not the function of this exercise. In this exercise, just allow for natural eye movement. Okay. So don't try and hold a drishti really hard. Allow for
Okay.
natural eye movement, but just don't focus on any one thing. And certainly don't let the internal dialogue, like your daytime dialogue or your task list or your what am I doing next or God, I'm so bored. Don't let those hijack the process.
Right.
Allow them to be and monitor them and let them flow past, along with the other streams of consciousness moving through you. Your connection to Yesa and the imaginative core of humanity, the space in between where you begin shifting your focus external to your own body. This really is the abyss, is getting consciousness to leave your physical frame. That's the abyss.
Mhm.
And many people will experience double vision. They'll experience a vertigo or disturbing weightlessness. Their bodies may want to go to sleep, which will break the trance and stop the astral travel, because then you're just asleep and everything pops back into place the way it's supposed to.
Right.
Yeah, so when that happens, try not to force the focus, allow it to be natural. That'll take care of the hard edge of that kind of black blanket, and when you move your eye, of the really disturbing light halo edge that forms around things. That's a
Yeah, I was
technique.
seeing a lot of that and like wiggly things.
That's right. Yes, that's right. You wanna dive into those more specifically when you want to do scrying work.
Okay.
So if you're scrying in fire, if you're scrying in a bowl of ink, you do scrying in bowl of
I have never
noodles right
scribed
here.
before, so I guess that's
You could scry in anything,
okay.
and that's exactly how you do it. Now, if you hold that, and this is way past the sort of the meaning of this class, but who cares?
I'm
Here's a
sorry.
freebie
Yeah.
for you. Here's a freebie for you, and that is, some people think that things like this are the only kind of appropriate things for scrying, or a crystal ball, right? And that ain't necessarily the case. Anything can be an object for scrying, as long as it has enough detail to fascinate you visually, and yet you can still drishti it out.
Hmm.
And the harder you are with that, the more you'll get the squiggly lines, the black and white lines, the black and white squares. And then if you get past that, you'll get to the big fat donut of light, the edges of haloed light from the contrast being hard to process for your eyes. And then there's like a layer past that where information starts like forming and downloading. And that's like the essence of scrying. There it is. Do that in pebbles or in whatever. If you can do it without of what's called the material basis, or a thing upon which to scry, mama, you're like light years ahead of most witches.
Oh.
No, yeah, for real. But
That's cool. I
control
didn't
and
know that
discern.
you could scry in just about anything. I always thought it was like mirrors and shiny stuff.
No. The mirrors and shiny stuff provide you with a surface that has that is flat and multidimensional at the same time, and it's portal-ish. Well, so are noodles. So yeah, you can just pick a spot, pick right here, and in some circle castings that I do, it's almost exactly that, where the only way that I can really see fey creatures is by doing exactly what you did, and that's scry on a no point whatsoever. And then you find the point and you expand, and then you can make actual fey contact. So
That's
yeah,
crazy. I didn't even know I was doing it.
now you know the things you learn every day.
You learn something new every day. Thank
That's
you,
right.
Shen.
You're welcome. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording.